Welcome back, Patriots, to the Ball Brad Show. It is Friday, April 26th, and Joe Biden. Good old Joey. The geriatric, the puppet, the child sniffer, the guy that hits a golf ball backwards, falls up a flight of stairs, looks for dead people in the crowd, converses with dead people who have been gone for 4 decades, fights with his teleprompter. His teleprompter has been undefeated for 4 years now. Folks, Joe Biden is by far, not even close, the worst president in American history. Patriots, it's great to be back with you on this fine Friday morning, and we do not have a theme for today's show. We just got a bunch of updates and a bunch of random news to present to all of you. So let's jump right into it here with our first story of the day. Federal criminal investigation being conducted by the FBI, focusing on the massive container ship that brought down the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore last month. Folks, this is no small thing. The FBI raided, that's what you see on your screen here. That's the FBI raiding the ship with the crew still on board. This just happened the other day. Now, it wasn't covered on mainstream news for some reason. A lot of people are calling this a sophisticated terrorist attack. This is insane. So a probe that will look at least in part of whether the crew left the port knowing the vessel had serious system problems, according to 2 U.S. officials here on the matter. Authorities are reviewing the events leading up to the moment when the ship lost power, supposedly, while leaving the port of Baltimore and slammed into one of the bridge's support pillars, as officials said. My question for all of you is, do you think this is a sophisticated terrorist attack? Or do you think this just kind of like was an electrical malfunction, a mechanical malfunction? Somebody fell asleep at the wheel. Let me know in the comment section below. I really am curious because I don't have enough evidence yet to make a conclusion or an informed, opinion on this. But I know a lot of you out there had your BS antennas go up a little bit, and rightfully so, of, really? I mean, how often does this happen? Just a mechanical failure? I mean, the thing was going off course, and then it just so happened to turn perfectly right into the pillar and take out a key bridge? Sounds a little weird, which is probably why the FBI is looking into this. And when they start raiding ships, like you see here on your screen, everybody's antennas should go up a little bit of, is something going on that we don't know about in terms of, you got some intelligence that, again, we don't know about? I don't know, folks. So I'll keep you updated on that. I had to do some digging to find this whole ordeal. And in other news today, we got terrorists firing on Pier being built by the U.S. So let me get this straight. There's people protesting, these pro-Palestinians, these anti-Israel protesters on college campuses to the point where now they're canceling graduation ceremonies. They're canceling classes. They're going to full remote learning. It's not safe for students on campus. These people are chanting anti-Semitic statements, slogans. They're chanting for basically the destruction of Israel and the genocide of the Jews, which is a crazy thing to say. And these people will not put up banners on these college campuses about removing Hamas and getting rid of Hamas. And they're saying, well, you're occupying the Palestinians in Gaza. They can't feed themselves. There's a drought, there's hunger, there's starvation, there's famine. So the U.S. is building a freaking pier to give them humanitarian aid so they don't suffer. And terrorists go and attack the bridge that's going to sit there and hopefully relieve that pressure of famine upon the people. The same terrorists that sit there and sell the food and water that we fly in with our planes on taxpayer money and give them food and water are selling it on the black market. None of these protesters, these woke liberals, these freaking leftist idiots have it through their head. These are the same people that have banners that say LGBTQ community for Hamas, pro-Palestinians. Like, you go over there as a gay person, lesbian, LGBTQ, let me know how that works out for you. None of those banners, you guys, say anything about Hamas. It's wild, but we'll blame Israel for everything. So the Palestinian terrorists opened fire on a pier last week. The U.S. forces are constructing the Mediterranean Sea to help bring aid into the Gaza Strip. The mortar attack happened on Wednesday as United Nations officials and the IDF were touring the project off the coast of central Gaza. Quote, the terrorist organizations continue to systematically harm humanitarian efforts while risking the lives of UN workers, while Israel allows the supply of aid to the residents of the Gaza Strip. The UN confirmed that there was a terrorist attack on the site while they were inspecting the pier. But nothing from these protesters on college campuses about any of this. They don't even know why they're protesting. They're just out there as a bunch of idiots because they don't have their head on straight and they're indoctrinated and brainwashed. The Associated Press reported that an official for Hamas told the publication that it will resist any foreign military presence involved in the port project. Lovely. So here we are, giving the people food and water, things they need to stay alive, and Hamas is giving resistance. Isn't that just lovely? But like I mentioned, you got all these lefties on college campuses with their hair in a pigtail and all this stuff shouting anti-Semitic slogans, all the while we're building a freaking pier and a terrorist organization attacks it. I don't even know why I'm trying to look and make sense into this, because it doesn't make sense whatsoever. The other big headline here was an NPR veteran editor is exposing the whole place. I didn't even know this was happening. I don't even know if all of you are aware that this is happening. So a veteran NPR editor, his name is Yuri, gave details about his employer's absence of viewpoint diversity. And we got 5 points here that he exposed, you guys. I mean, we knew a lot of these were taking place, but NPR is basically a form of taxpayer-funded radio and media and entertainment, if you want to look at it that way. So he says here, the Free Press bombshell offered an inside look at NPR's drift from only being a Brit to the left. Only from being a bit to the left. Let me zoom in here. It's hard for me to see. I'm supposed to wear glasses. In 2011 to its current form, where he said an open-minded spirit no longer exists. Here are 5 of Yuri's most notable claims. The first one here is regarding Adam Schiff. Where's Schiff here, regarding Russiagate. Now, we all remember Russia, but the Democrats are going to complain that Congress currently, specifically the GOP, the Republican Party, wants to look into the Biden family corruption that's taking place. Going, well, how much money did you spend? You guys spent millions of dollars investigating the Russia hoax, and you had people promulgating that here, like NPR. So NPR interviewed Adam Schiff for its Russiagate coverage dozens of times between 2016 and 2019, so much so that he was characterized as the outlet's ever-present muse. So Yuri also said that in 2016, Donald Trump quickly encouraged NPR journalists to find ways to damage or topple his presidency. When Trump said these people are the enemy of the people, it wasn't too far off. I'm not right fully there yet of saying that our media is enemies of the people. I know there's a lot of great people in media that are not, but they are definitely complicit. Some of them were complicit in pushing a narrative, a propaganda, the fake news, and you're seeing an example of that right here. So again, the narrative that Trump colluded with Russia, which we know is fake, and if you go all the way down later on, it does talk about the laptop, which we'll get to in one moment, I promise. I mean, NPR is just rubbing the shoulders of the Democrat Party, and it would make sense because you have this right here. This is a real thing, you guys. Registered Democrats outnumbered Republicans 87-0 in the newsroom. There is not a Republican in sight. It sounds a lot like our college campuses. It sounds a lot like our education system, where they're not hiring conservatives, they're not hiring Republicans, and so you're getting one viewpoint, which makes sense why these people are coming out of the education system, out of media, out of entertainment. They're all indoctrinated, don't have a damn clue what's going on because they only have one viewpoint. And they don't know anything about Republicans' viewpoints. They don't know anything about conservatism. And this is why you have people chanting on college campuses for the genocide of Jews, because they're idiots. These are the same people that are in support of Hamas, while Hamas just got done conducting a terrorist attack that's going to feed the Palestinians. NPR turned a blind eye on the Hunter Biden laptop. Oh, it was just a Russia hoax. It wasn't real. This is misinformation. This is disinformation. This is what we heard from like MSNBC, right? CNN, all these nut job outlets. It's not real. It's propaganda. It's made up news. The Russians are now meddling into our affairs once again. They're idiots. They're idiots. I know you guys know this, but look, they also dismissed the COVID lab leak theory. Interesting. These are the same people that got all upset. The fact that Trump was like, it's from China. The Chinese released it. It's from China. Sir, isn't that xenophobic? Isn't that racist? Nuh-uh. It's from China. It's from the Wuhan. Like, the guy had it straight. He had it right. But now these people get all their panties in a bunch because you sit there and call out exactly where it came from, and they just completely discredited it. Everybody knew what was going on except NPR and the rest of the Democrat Party. So we got that one for you. Wild stuff. Check out this link here from Fox News. 5 things veteran NPR editor exposed in a studying criticism of own employers' liberal bias. They'll claim they have no bias over their NPR. Oh boy, do they. And I will never listen to them. You also have 2/3 here. Let me zoom out for y'all. I apologize. 2/3 of Americans believe illegal immigration is a real crisis, not a media narrative. Now, we're going to go through the poll rather quickly, but it is kind of shocking because I thought the numbers were going to be a lot bigger than this, you guys. Nearly 2/3 of Americans believe illegal immigration is a real crisis and not a media narrative, according to a poll published on Thursday. You guys, it's only 2/3. Like, what the hell's going on with the rest? So Axios, conducted by the Harris poll, also found that 51% of Americans would support mass deportations of illegal immigrants, which included 42% Democrats, 46% independents, and only 68% of Republicans. I thought this would be a lot higher. And it makes me wonder, again, how this was performed. Mind you, guys, this is just an observational study. So the way these studies are conducted is hopefully you get a nice sample across the United States that's representative of the population as a whole. But when I see these types of numbers, it really makes me wonder if these Republicans are really being impacted by illegal immigration. So it's the people that would probably want more deportations if they're the ones that are actually being impacted by illegal immigrants versus the ones that are not. And so these numbers, 42% of Democrats is actually a pretty good number. I was expecting them to be in the 20%. So maybe public perception swinging in Trump's favor, as well as conservative Republicans, of getting these people out of the country that don't belong here in the first place. They're taking over your jobs and out-competing you in the market for lower wages. Illegal immigration remains a top issue for voters in the upcoming election amid a record number of border crossings since President Biden took office. Oh, yeah. The dude shattered his own record probably like 20 times. The Biden administration ranks higher than any other factor in who is to blame for the border crisis. Now, this is the one where I thought would be a lot higher. The survey found that 32% believe it is most responsible. Only 32% blame Joey. Who else are you going to blame? If majority of people think it's not media propaganda, and they don't think it's really the media, then, who are you going to blame? Nearly 7.3 million migrants have illegally crossed the U.S. southern border here. That's greater than the population of 36 of our states, you guys, but there's no crisis. There's no problem. The Biden administration will not acknowledge this as a crisis. It has always been a challenge. At one point or another, they kind of switch it back and forth. In the last 3.5 years, they've changed it from a challenge to a situation, then it went back to a challenge, and they put it back to a situation. It's never been a crisis. They've not stood on that podium, the White House press briefings, and labeled it as such. You'll get some scanty stuff from John Kirby and Joe Biden slipping when he has actually some cognitive acceleration in terms of his understanding of what the hell's going on. Like, he's present, he's aware. He'll actually say that it's a crisis, but it's few and far between. Both Biden and former President Donald Trump visited the southern border. Obviously, Biden got a lot of flack because he sat there and piggybacked on basically the trip that Donald Trump was doing, because Donald Trump actually cares about America. Joe Biden does not. And I really do believe that. I don't think Joe Biden cares about America one bit. I think Joe Biden is the main factor in terms of why we're doing so poorly here. Now, the other things doing poorly, we haven't actually covered a kind of an article like this in quite some time here. Los Angeles High School to host Drag Queen World Series. We haven't talked about what's going on in the education system, specifically the high schools and middle schools across the country. We used to do this a lot about 1.5 years ago when, what's his name? James O'Keefe was still part of, oh God, I can't even remember the name now. His original institution, organization that he created. For some reason, it's slipping me now. But we are actually on that for about 15 seconds. We were highlighted here on the Bald Brad Show for exposing a lot of stuff that's going on college campuses, high school campuses, and then also middle school campuses. Hell, we even talked about third graders learning how to masturbate on videos, which is insane and it's disgusting. So now we're back with this again, where a Los Angeles high school will be hosting a drag queen version of the World Series. Why? Fairfax High School is set to host the 7th annual Drag Queen World Series on April 27th, a Saturday, pitting two drag queen groups. The Los Angeles Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence and the West Hollywood Cheerleaders against each other, according to Drag Queen World Series. So here's a little bit of that flyer. The Life Group LA. Oh, isn't that just lovely? Look at that. Wow. The event will be hosted by Life Group LA in a partnership with the Fairfax High School Alumni Association and the school's Gay Straight Alliance group. The website shared the food that will be sold will benefit both organizations. The school also provides a list of resources and services for LGBTQ plus students it shared. Fairfax High School is a part of Los Angeles Unified School District. The school district voted to back LGBTQ plus lessons in schools into 2023. So I just also want to make note of this. I wasn't aware of this either. Even when I was complaining about this, is one of the biggest mistakes I've made since doing the Bald Brad Show, is it didn't make sense to me why some of these teachers are pushing this LGBTQ stuff in the classroom. It's because they have to. That's really what it comes down to. They're actually mandated. They have to do it. That really blew my mind when I saw it. So it makes sense why some people are being forced to teach this stuff. Keyword, they're forced. They have to do it. Now, could you leave your job and career? Absolutely. Easier said than done. But there's Republicans out there that have to basically promulgate this as well. because it's coming down from them from the top. You know, we're people of the state here, and we have to rely on what they say and what they do. So the drag, I'm not for it, by the way. Again, I want to be clear on that. I'm not for it whatsoever. But this is what's going on your high school campuses, your middle school campuses, and your elementary school campuses. I mean, we've actually shown footage of drag queens stripping at high schools and middle schools, like pole dancing, full on stripping, and then children tipping them with their lunch money that their parents gave them. Your hard-earned money is going into the thong of a man that's dressed as a woman that's dancing sexually in front of children. At what point this started being acceptable in the LGBTQ community, I have no idea. I personally don't care if people are gay. I mean, it is a sin. I said this in the other episode, but I've had friends that are gay. I have friends that are gay. I don't sit there and judge them. I don't discriminate against them. That's why I always think it's weird. A lot of conservative Republicans are really libertarian in terms of the LGBTQ stuff. They just want to be left alone. Like, leave us alone on it. Like, you don't need to go have your parades. If you want to do it, whatever, but stop throwing it in our faces. We're just people that want to be left alone. If you want to be gay, go be gay. Just stop trying to shove it down my throat all the time. I don't want to see two guys make out. I don't want to see two women make out. I don't want to see all this stuff. I just want to be left alone. Just want to be left alone. That's all. Is that, folks, is that so hard to ask? I think a lot of you are with me on this one. Just go your merry way. Live your life. If you want to get married, who cares? Whatever. Stop cramming it down all our throats. I know I'm repeating myself, but this keeps being indoctrinated. Our children keeps being thrown in front of their faces. And that's why they show up the way they are, just all messed up. You also have extreme and unlawful overreach. Biden admin unveils final plan to push climate agenda on America's power grid. So there is rumors out there that the Biden administration, if reelected, is going to do basically what he did during COVID, or the government's going to do what they did during COVID and shut everything down, but not for COVID, for climate. So I want to gather more information before I actually present that as a video, but that's kind of the rumors I'm hearing out there, that if Biden is reelected, he's going to shut things down and call it a climate crisis. So the immigration's not a crisis, but somehow the climate is, which plays into what we're looking at here, where the Biden administration issued its final regulations for power plants Thursday. We're shooting ourselves in the foot here. Democrats are constantly just bringing us from behind all the time. So setting steep emissions reductions mandates that some energy organizations and experts warn could cause several and severe problems for the country in the long term. The EPA's Environmental Protection Agency, which I absolutely think should be abolished and removed, rules for coal and natural gas power plants are among the most aggressive regulations that the agency has ever promulgated under Biden. If they're saying that under the Democrats, it has to be wild, because it was already bad. While the Biden administration claims that the rules are major actions to fight climate change that will not affect the grid's reliability, does anybody believe that? Does anybody believe that? And energy sector experts are warning that the rules could cause several and severe reliability issues that would harm the American economy. Joe Biden. It has no effect on the grid's reliability. You can't even plug in your electric cars in California without there being a brownout. Don't give me this. We have one of the worst grids in the world. Holy lordy. But that's fine. Let's continue sending billions of dollars everywhere else around the globe rather than fixing our own crap here. The rules issued included a requirement for the country's coal plants and new natural gas plants to install carbon capture and storage technology. You ready for this? To capture 90% of their carbon emissions in order to continue operations past 2039. These are the same idiots that said every car sold in California by like 2025 or 2035 or some stupid number like that has to be electric. And then they realize, oh, we don't have the electric grid for that. Oh, why did we say that? Because Democrats are idiots, and so are these progressive leftists that just shout shit to the sky, but don't actually think about the consequences of what they're shouting. They just love shouting slogans. That's all it is. Slogans, slogans, slogans. There's not actual reality behind those slogans. It's just a bunch of idiocracy that's being spewed upon all of us that have to listen to it. Other rules include a measure to tighten mercury emission standards for existing coal-fired plants by 70% and reduce pollutants in the wastewater that coal-fired plants produce. All the while, China's building new coal plants. Oh, isn't that just lovely? So we're shooting ourselves in the foot, and China's just building more coal plants. Trump understood it. Trump's like, why are we ruining our own economy? Why are we making energy more expensive for ourselves, which is only going to just slow the economy because people can't afford to pay for food because it's so expensive, because all food is delivered by what? Freight, power. I mean, I understand this is coal, but you still understand what I mean in terms of electricity, energy, just the whole encompass of the actual utilities that you're paying or your grocery bill or whatever it is, doesn't matter. Anything that has to do with energy is up because Joe Biden doesn't want to drill. Joe Biden doesn't want to remove regulations. He wants to increase regulations. He wants to add more red tape. He wants to get rid of the entire fossil fuel industry, which is what you're seeing right here. No wonder it's so hard to sit there and build new power plants. No wonder nobody wants to go drill domestically because you have Democrats in office that want to drive these people out of business. And Democrats are like, 4 more years, 4 more years. All the while, the same people that are chanting 4 more years are struggling themselves. Like, they're like that movie with Jim Carrey, Liar, Liar, when he's in the bathroom and he just kicks his own ass and he shows up in the courtroom and goes, I just kicked my own ass. That's what we're doing. That's what Biden is doing. I posted a short where there's a guy kicking another guy in the nuts just constantly, just really just kicking him. And it shows, I put a label over it. The guy that's kicking the other guy in the nuts, the guy that's kicking is Joe Biden, and the guy that's getting it into the nuts is America. And that's virtually what's been going on here for the last 4 years. Just Joe Biden, Democrat Party, just kicking us relentlessly right in the gonads. How much more of it we could take? I don't know. We'll have to find out here, but that's what's going on in the future. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on with the climate emissions, the climate global warming BS that they're pushing here upon all of us consistently. Holy Lord. We also got this knucklehead here. I told you there's no theme today's episode. We're just doing a rapid fire news break, news dump, whatever you want to call it here before the weekend ends. Kamala Harris attacks Tennessee Republicans for passing a bill allowing some teachers to be armed. Now, I'm an educator. I would love to be armed in the classroom. I would love to protect my children and your children, not my children, but you understand what I mean, my students, your children in the classroom. Personally, if somebody came on campus that was shooting up the place, I don't exactly want to just sit there and have everybody be a meat shield, everybody dying. When it's like, oh, wow, cool, I can have a firearm, awesome. I can go sit there and at least have a fighting chance. You know what they tell us, you guys? Dude walks in with, any sort of rifle, doesn't matter, handgun, and goes, fight him off with a stapler or throw chairs at him. Or her. I was literally told that. They said, take a pencil and throw it at them. Folks, these people are dumb. Some of these people are really dumb. They never thought about the situation. They never actually have been put in any sort of situation that's actual danger. They never had to fight somebody or defend for themselves. I've never had a fight for my life, but I've been in 2 active shooter situations in my life, believe it or not. Furthermore, I've also been in fights with hockey. Not saying I was going to die, but I've had to defend myself. I don't want to defend myself with a pencil, a stapler, a piece of paper against a guy that has a 9mm, a 22, a 45, don't matter what it is. I know what's going to win. It's the guy with the actual gun in his hands, and I would like to arm myself so that I can protect everybody. And it takes a long time for the police to respond to a call. A lot of people can be wiped out with a handgun or a rifle. It doesn't matter. It doesn't take a long time to change out that mag. You can do it really fast. But, they go, oh, well, we should decrease the magazine, the capacity to 5 rounds. Okay, so you sit there, click, flip, cock, boom. I don't understand this. I have a firearm. I'm a don't get me going. I'm trying to keep it simple today. Trying to keep it simple. Point I'm trying to make is there are teachers out there that want to be armed, that actually want to protect people. If these lefties don't want to have a firearm because they think it's icky and gross because they're idiots, that's fine with me. So Vice President Kamala Harris attacked Tennessee Republicans on Wednesday, claiming them extremists. So you're an extremist because you want to sit there and protect the kids and have a firearm on you. For passing a bill that allows public school teachers to be armed in classrooms after meeting certain conditions such as firearm training and approval from administrators. A lot of people don't realize this. Not that long ago, I want to say it was like the 70s when it maybe stopped, maybe mid-70s. They used to have PE classes that allowed you to do shooting. So you used to have guns on campus all the time. It was part of your PE class, almost like an extracurricular, even though it wasn't. But they used to have that, and they got rid of it. You can actually find textbooks of this stuff still. But you're an extremist now for wanting to protect yourself and the children around you so they don't get shot up by some nut job that's evil and wants to wipe everybody out. God forbid that you actually want to protect people. As much as I want you to see your kids, I would really like to go home to my wife as well. I would like to go home to my family. That would be a nice thing. I don't want to die. I at least want to have a fight. If I have to go down, I want to have a fighting chance. You know what I'm saying? But this idiot right here that couldn't tell you her ass from her mouth doesn't want you to be able to do so. It's frustrating. I think you're with me on this. Arming teachers is not the solution, she says. Well, what is the solution then, you idiot? We know what actually works. Universal bracket. This person's a fucking idiot. Look, can we go? I'm sorry to cuss, but it really does show you that these people are stupid. These people are stupid, and they're running the country. She wanted to be president. I'm going to lose it. We know what actually, I haven't read this before. This is, I looked at headlines. I'm like, this is going to be fun. We can go through this together as a community. Patriots. We know what actually works. Universal background checks. There already is background checks, you idiot. God. Red flag laws. We've seen that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Safe storage. Oh, 6. So I got to go sit there and have this firearm locked up between like 5 different walls while the dude that didn't do a background check, wasn't captured by red flag laws, is invading a school or is invading a freaking my home or a property, doesn't matter what it is, gets my ass kicked because I got to sit there and punch in a code or have a biological, thumbprint or whatever just to get my firearm. You can't have it loaded. You got to have the bullet separate. You can't have it connected to the mag. You can't have the mag then connected to the gun. You got to have all this crap. These people drive me up a wall. You notice it's always the law-abiding citizens that get reamed for everything. For everything. So teachers arming themselves is not the solution, but I guess somehow background checks, red flag laws is always a solution, even though that's already in place. People are idiots. I'm not saying there's not failures of the system. There are, and it has happened. But I'm glad this did pass. Good for those in Tennessee. Maybe I should go over there and live in Tennessee. That might not be a bad idea, and sit there and arm myself and actually educate people the right way, rather than having these activist teachers do it for you. Activist teachers, not teachers activists, activist teachers, where there are teachers in the classroom, in the public education system specifically, that would rather do activist stuff, push this LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, America's a racist, bigoted country upon your children, indoctrinate them, brainwash them into thinking this country's evil, so that when they go to college, they turn in like one of those other kids out there that don't know what they're protesting. They're just out there protesting because they're idiots, because they didn't actually get a quality education, because the teacher would have rather been an activist than an actual damn teacher and educate the kids. The destruction of the education system is real, folks. Oh, it is real. Lastly, you got Chinese company here. I told you I'd keep you up to date on this TikTok thing. I told you. It appears to ignore threat of U.S. ban. So Congress is like, yeah, if you don't sell this bad boy off, you're just going to be banned. And they go, well, it doesn't really matter. We're going to do what we want to do anyways. Check this out. We're not going to spend too much time on it. A news and information content platform that is a core product of the Chinese company ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok. ByteDance has no plans to sell TikTok. So last week, as everybody mentioned, it's big news. Congress passed a measure that gave ByteDance 9 months to sell TikTok, or it will be banned in the United States if a sale is in progress during these 9 months. An additional 3 months would be added. So it potentially could turn into, I think, 9 months, if I'm getting that right. So on Wednesday, President Biden signed the measure into law. Foreign media reports that ByteDance is exploring the sale of TikTok are untrue. ByteDance has no plans to sell TikTok. So what are you going to do? Divest from them? I mean, that was the original thing that was kind of being promoted was, hey, you can stick around. We just need ByteDance to sit there and divest from this company. So there actually is a real distinction, a separation between what's going on in the United States and the Chinese government. But they don't want to do that because they're stealing your information. They're doing something weird, you guys. You got to understand. Look, I would love TikTok to stick around. I don't think it's great for our youth. I do think there should be a social media ban on anybody that's 18 or younger. I do not think these youth can handle the social media. They can't even handle the internet, you guys. It is wild what you're seeing in the education system. These students, ask them yourself. They will admit it to you. They've admitted it to me. They don't have the capacity to actually handle social media. They don't. So we need to remove it from them. I think Florida was right. I think Ron DeSantis did a great thing. Anybody below a certain age can't use social media. I really do think that is what our youth need. At 18, 16, 18, if they feel like they need it, they can. But even then, even at that age, I'm seeing it right now. At 18 years old, they can't manage their own schedule because they're swiping on TikTok. They're not able to actually decipher what is important in that time versus social media that's not important. They will take over social media as important because they want the dopamine rush, because they get an addiction that's happening. They get a good feeling of swipe, 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 swipe. And rather than actually the real important of getting a quality education, because that's what's going to affect you later on in life, not TikTok. So we'll see what happens here. But these people have the cojones saying, hey, we're not going to do anything as it is. And Marco Rubio has been an outspoken critic of this, pushing this whole thing. And I think there's a little bit more than what they're telling us. I think there's a lot more than what they're telling the American people here in terms of what's actually going on behind the scenes with TikTok, where TikTok's public policy chief blatantly lied under oath when he denied U.S. data is stored in China. ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese-based parent company, was caught in October using the app to spy on American journalists. So if they're spying on American journalists, they're spying on Americans, they're also spying on our government officials, probably should be removed, in my opinion. And a very easy solution is what they did. divest from it, and you can still have TikTok. Remove yourself from the Chinese Communist Party and the military there, you can still have TikTok. So a lot of people aren't for this because, look, they make their living off this. It's important that they have it. It will probably still be around. I'd imagine when push comes to shove, they're going to sell the thing, and TikTok will still be around. It'll just have a different owner. That's what I think is going to happen. But blew through this, folks. We went through 2, 4, 6, 8. Went through a lot of articles here today, folks. Hope you have a lovely weekend. Check out Spooky Adventures. We do have a second channel. The link is in the description, where we explore the paranormal, the unexplained, and the supernatural. It is a really fun day. We do it every Saturday. We kind of deviate away from the politics, the craziness of the world, and we dive into the paranormal stuff. UFOs, aliens, paranormal. We've been on a lot. And we have fun together. We get scared. We get spooked, hence Spooky Adventures. And just hang out as a community of people that like to have a little bit of fun. Again, that's the purpose of it. Have fun. Get away, from all the craziness here, because you need a day to divest away from this crazy stuff that's happening in the world. And get away from Joey, too. Be careful, because Joey will try to sniff you. With that being said, folks, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment down below. Would love to hear from you. And, folks, I'll see you later here on The Ball Brad Show.